All right, we are ready to start our subtractive value scale. So collecting your materials, you are going to need your sketchbook, and you're going to open it up to a fresh page and turn it horizontally or long ways, because we're going to be using this part of the paper here. You're going to need your ruler, a pencil to sketch out the outline of your value scale. You're going to need your rubber eraser and your kneaded eraser. Your kneaded eraser might even be more useful in this project, so definitely don't forget this. And obviously you are going to need some charcoal. So we are going to be using the compressed charcoal. It's going to be that darker stuff here, not the willow. You're going to be able to get your really nice dark values with the compressed. So that's what we're going to be using today. All right, so let's set up our paper here. We are going to use the entirety of the page long ways. So I'm going to use my ruler to sketch out my outline here. So I'm going to make a line all the way across. Then I'm going to use maybe about that much here. Draw my same line all the way across. Connect them to make a long rectangle. Okay. And now we are going to make little tick marks on the outside of where the segments will line up, because we're going to use our charcoal here in a minute. And you'll see what I mean. So we are needing to break this up into 6 different segments, okay? So we are going to make a tick mark right down the middle here. And then we have 2 halves. So then we're going to make 2 tick marks on either side. And that is what's going to create this 6 sections here. Okay, 2 more. Okay, so imagine that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you're going to need to put these on the outside, because with the nature of the subtractive drawing style, we are going to fill in the entirety of our rectangle with dark charcoal. Okay, so what does subtractive mean? Or reductive is another word that you can use to describe this. So with our previous value scale that we've done in pencil, that was additive, okay? We are putting in material to build up our values, okay? We've been doing it in layers to build up our darker values, which is what we practiced in our last project, right? Adding our material to our paper. Excuse me. Now, with the subtractive drawing style with charcoal, we are starting with our darkest value and then using our erasers to subtract or reduce the amount of material that is now on our paper to reveal the lighter values. So this, using them both hand in hand, is really nice for additive and subtractive for the charcoal material, and especially for the next project that we're going to start. But just practicing filling in our paper with this dark charcoal and then taking out the material, that's going to be really good for us to practice some of this stuff. So we are going to spend the next couple of minutes. This might take you a little bit to do, but be careful that you're kind of staying in the lines here. Okay. We're going to spend the next couple of minutes filling this in as dark as we can get it over the entire thing, okay? So you might want to use your blending stubs or your fingers to really push the charcoal into all of these little crevices and holes in your paper, because you'll see all of these white little speckles, and that's just the texture of the paper coming out, right? So we just want to work the material into the paper. Make sure there's a lot in here. So it's going to want to look really soft, really almost velvety when you are done with this. So spend a little bit of time just really pressing in, especially all of this dust that's coming off, right? You want to really rub it in. I like to use my fingers personally, rather than getting some extra things out, like your blending stub or paper towel or something like that. That black piece of paper that I showed you. I just think using my fingers a little bit quicker. And I don't really mind getting messy. Like I said, charcoal's really messy. You just kind of have to embrace it. Okay, try not to go over my tick marks too much. Might have to redraw those if I accidentally draw over them. Okay, so as you can see, you can't really get around not blending this in. Even though I'm pressing really hard over here with my material, with my charcoal here, I really do need to blend in all of this because I don't want any speckles. No paper speckles. Okay, coming in. Make sure it's in all of my rectangle here. Okay, let's double check our work. All right, going back over this to see if there's any speckles I need to blend in here. But we want it dark, dark black. We're starting with black so that we can use our erasers now to practice our subtractive style. Okay, so I'm going to then make a couple of these tick marks a little bit more prominent. Okay, so our next step is we are going to label this so we remember. So we're still starting from light to dark. Now, when we are talking about strategy with how to start, where to start with our other value scale, remember our lightest square was the white of the paper. We didn't even touch that, right? It's going to be the opposite for this, okay? So this is still going to be the darkest value that we can get from our charcoal, okay? We're not going to even touch this, okay? So that means that we need to take out as much of this as we can. So if you would like your rubber eraser, it's a little stiffer, so you're going to have some really nice corners that you're able to get. Now, if you want to go and separate out these, it is going to give that slight little line to separate out, okay? So like I said on Monday, the rubber eraser, you're going to probably need to clean off every once in a while because all of that charcoal just sits on the top of it. So if you just rub it on like a clean paper, clean part of your paper, it's going to make your rubber eraser clean again and able to keep on using it. Now, with your kneaded eraser, like the name suggests, you just kind of knead it, massage it back in itself, fold it back. I kind of like to stretch it and fold it, stretch it and fold it. And that's going to be a little bit easier for you to do, okay? So I'm going to start by just erasing as much as I can in this light. Try not to rub it off. It's easy and it's maybe habitual for you to just kind of like swipe off your little crummies from your eraser, but this smudges like crazy. So I would suggest maybe just giving it a quick little all right, now you're not going to be able to completely erase all of this out because we did rub it into the paper, right? We were using some pretty good pressure to fill that all in. So just make sure that your lightest square is erased as much as you can, okay? Now, strategy-wise, with getting the rest of them, your kneaded eraser is pretty sticky, pretty tacky. So even if you just kind of tap it on in different areas, it should take off a good amount, especially with yours, because your kneaded erasers are not used as much as mine. I've definitely used this kneaded eraser for this sort of process before, so there's a lot of charcoal in here. So I might want to start with one of my middle gray values. And remember, we're not going to be adding any more of this charcoal into this at this process, okay? We're not going to be like fixing our mistakes if we take out too much. I want you guys to really slow down and think through your next steps, okay? So maybe starting with one of these middle values kind of gives you some space for error if you need, because then you can do it gradually, okay? So you know that the more pressure that you put on your paper with your, whatever you're using, the more pressure you use with your eraser is going to take out more. So remember, we're working towards our lighter values here. Okay, I might want to come back with my rubber eraser for this one. Still trying to make it fairly even. And we want a gradual shift. Okay, a gradual shift, just like our value scale in graphite. Okay. Take out just a little bit of this. And now I don't think I want to touch this one anymore, right? I might want to take a little bit more out of this one because I want each to be distinct from each other. Okay, it's a scale, so. And this does go fairly quickly. You just need to kind of like gauge your pressure. In the same way that you gauge your pressure with your pencil, you want to gauge your pressure with your eraser as well. So I'm just going to go super lightly over this one. I want it to look a little bit lighter than my darkest. Just enough that it still looks like a dark gray. Okay, maybe I'll take out a little bit more out of this one. See, I'm kind of going back and forth, back and forth. All right. Now you can kind of like mess with this a little bit, kind of go back and forth, but that's going to be our general idea, okay? So we're still going to be able to get a good amount of value, amount of value shifts and changes with charcoal, but you can still do this process with your graphite, with taking out material to reveal your highlights. You can still do that, but it's a little bit easier with charcoal because of how dusty it is. A lot of it just sits right on the surface. So we are going to be practicing this also in terms of an actual scene, because we're going to be depicting a landscape for our main project for charcoal. So definitely start to practice this with the subtractive value scale here. Okay, and it is, all right, so that's it for your value scale. And then sort of check in for our next process here.